Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. This is James Jimmy Hills. I am the host here of Java with Jimmy, and we are in a special episode this afternoon. I hope you can hear me well. Vinny in the back, if you can let me know if you can hear me well. Do I sound good? Okay, we're good. So we're here this afternoon. As many of you know, the chief of the State Department of Probation, Commissioner Emerson Eichel, has been with us a few times and talking about the radical approach that his department is taking to ensuring that those through life circumstances, whatever situation, they don't really care how you got there, but they want to make sure that you are aware of all of the services that that department has to offer. And so through that, we've developed a relationship. A few weeks ago, a couple of months ago, Swaggy T was on Java with Jimmy, and the commissioner reached out and invited him down. And you can go see pictures and things about that on my social media page. But at that event, I got to meet Vincent. He goes by Vin for short, not Vinny, Vin for short. And he is the person that has the charge from the commissioner to ensure that the information is out there, that those that are engaging with the population are community driven and sensitive to what folks are dealing with. And so we're coming today to make sure that everybody knows where to go get the resources and what's being offered. And so if you give us about 25 minutes or so, we're going to share that information with you. I'm going to bug Vin for a little bit of his story about how he wound up in this place and helping those that ended up on probation. And without further ado, and you all welcome him to the Java Cafe in the comments, we would like to welcome Vincent Lorenti, who is, and I don't have the position in front of me, but Vin, welcome to Java with Jimmy. Tell them what you do there and greet the folks and say good afternoon.
Hi, Jimmy. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for having me on the show today. Again, my name is Vincent Lorenti. I'm the director of the Office of Community Corrections, which is part of the probation department in Massachusetts. And I've been in the Office of Community Corrections. I actually have known Commissioner Eichel for many, many years because earlier on in his career, he actually worked in the Office of Community Corrections as well as one of our regional program managers. And so that's where I first met him when I was a very young man, which I no longer am. So I've worked in the Office of Community Corrections for about 25 years now. In 2016, I was appointed by Commissioner Dolan to become the director of the Office of Community Corrections. And recently, Commissioner Eichel, having become the Commissioner of Probation last fall, appointed me to be an executive director for the Office of Community Corrections and elevated our role because I think he sees a lot of importance in the work that we are doing in the community to provide treatment opportunities, educational opportunities, employment supports, and really a community-based approach towards trying to help those that, as you said, for whatever reason, find themselves engaged with the criminal legal system and are looking to try to get back on their feet so that they can stay safe in their communities rather than be incarcerated in either jail or prison. So I'm happy to talk to you about all those things today, and with a special focus on what we do in Boston, but also just to share that we have a presence across the state and we're really looking to engage with people to make sure we're providing supports for them.
Absolutely. My mom is in the background there. She said welcome. And so let me ask you a little bit, if you don't mind, if I infringe. What was your area of study? Presumably it may have been, CJ, criminal justice, and you could have went different ways in your career. And talking to you the day that we were there with Swaggy T, shout out to him and his family. Yeah. There was, first of all, the whole office just has like this family vibe. But why did you stay on the road on the end of really making sure that people get the services and it's comprehensive? What about that keeps you sort of in this space rather than just going, no disrespect, but to the, regular probation officers that do the monitoring? Why are you committed in this role of the services?
Yeah, so there's probably a lot of facets to that, like a lot of things in my life that have led me to this. But
Sure.
just as a general thing, I came in, like I said, as a student intern. I went to college in Boston.
Okay.
I actually originally am from Connecticut, but I've always, my whole life, I wanted to, for whatever reason, I know this may sound crazy, but I wanted to be involved in government.
Yep.
I've always thought, I grew up a long time ago, like, well, not too long ago, but when there was people that really believed that government could make a difference,
Yes.
and that being involved in the government was not necessarily a bad thing, but it was a good thing. And that, if people really cared about making a difference, they should get involved and work to try to make government better. When I first came into the Office of Community Corrections, again, in the mid 90s, late 90s, I think there was a lot of hope that what the legislature had invested in terms of doing community-based interventions through our office was going to be part of a brave future, stepping forward to try to say, let's do less incarceration and do more community-based interventions for people. And so I like I said, I started as an intern. I worked in the Boston Center originally, like many years ago, under a different kind of approach, where a lot of what we did was just paying very intensive, using a very intensive eye to watch people and do drug screening and do all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And we at that time, I think there were treatment interventions that we were doing that we thought were important, but what we needed to learn was how to engage more effectively with people and not say, do the treatment or do the time, right? And rather just say, do the treatment because we want to help you, right? I think that's something that I've believed in for a long time. So, during my career, I went to law school as well. Okay. I went to university at night, and I feel very blessed that I had that opportunity to do that. I became an attorney, and there was a point in my career where it was like, do I want to go and try to pursue a career as an attorney, or do I think I can continue to make a difference where I am? And at that time, I was offered the opportunity to apply for a promotion. So I did that, and I became a regional program manager. And that's where I worked really starting in Worcester and Boston and Brockton and in major metropolitan areas and major cities in our state, to try to think about, how can we do a better job using the resources that we have to engage with people and make a difference. And so since 2016, that's when I became the director. I've really been focused on, in the first instance, trying to make sure that we're using the interventions that have been shown and proven to work. So that what people call evidence-based practices. We've invested heavily in doing that. We've worked with the University of Pennsylvania, Northeastern University, UMass Medical School, to make sure that the things that we're doing in the community are actually things that work. The University of Pennsylvania did a study that showed that people that came to the centers, the community justice support centers, had 36% lower recidivism rates than people that were just on probation as usual. Yep. And importantly, these are people that are on probation that have more complicated lives. Like, it's not like they're just their first time on probation. It's people that have had a lot of kind of circumstances unravel. And so these are what we refer to as the moderate to higher risk people that have needs in multiple domains. Maybe they need educational support, maybe they need a job, but maybe they also need some treatment around drug and alcohol use, or just helping them learn how to make better decisions and things like that. So sorry if I got going. No. I really believe in what we're doing, and I'm excited to share about it. So I may not be answering every question directly, but
no. Let me say to you that I want to appreciate the fact that I allow, because sometimes I'll jump in, as a host, but when people come on the platform for the first time and they're sharing information, I always ask them basically about what's their why. And so you went in and out of your personal, but it tied into your professional career. And because sometimes, especially coming from, and even in the way you articulate where you work, the criminal legal system, not justice system, sometimes people in these systems don't see and understand that there are actual individuals that are in the system that are trying to dispel typical system stuff. Let's frame it like that. And so I
Correct.
thought it was important for folks that are watching now, excuse me, and folks that'll go in the after watch to see not only Chief Eiffel, Coria, and others, but yourself that has this responsibility to make sure that this programming is working. And so don't apologize, because I thought it was important for folks to see your why. And so now, we did that, but now and you were ready to jump into the business. We can definitely go in and talk about some of the resources. I did share one of the links, in the first one, just so you know which we're pointing to first, is around the Justice Support Centers. And so tell us what's going on there, and when folks go to the website or if they call, what should they expect when they want to engage? And this is a question I just thought about. Should they try to go through their probation officer, or should they just hit the link, directly? Let us know. Give us an overview about the services.
Yeah, sure. So there are historically, what we've done at the centers has always been by virtue of a court or the parole board making an order that says for a particular person, go to the center to do X, Y, or Z thing. And what I will say is the program that's at the center, unlike what many people experience in the justice system, what we try to do at the center is do things that are individually tailored for the person, so that we're meeting their needs individually and not just basically going from a program driven model that says, here's what our program is, here's what you need to do. It's, yes, there are program elements, there are educational elements, cognitive behavioral therapy elements, etc. But we want to base that on what your individual needs are. So that's the first thing I just wanted to share. So some people come to the center because they get an order from a judge that says, it's essentially what we've been referring to as intensive supervision with treatment. It's for those people that maybe have been on probation before or have had experiences in the justice system. And rather than revoke that probation and send somebody to jail or prison, the court is saying, we still think that you have a lot to there's an opportunity for you here to continue to grow, essentially, right? And so we want to get you more treatment and more interventions and more programmings, and not just do the watchful eye thing, but also be proactive about engaging you in some of this work. So that's one way that people come in. Okay. And that's been a lot of what we've done for many, many years. One of the reasons I'm here today is because over the last number of years, what we've really tried to do is offer these services in more of a voluntary way, so that people can just come in if they need any support, right? So I believe strongly that our systems should embrace using the center as an alternative to jail and prison, because even today, Massachusetts has the lowest incarceration rates in the United States, but we could still be doing better.
Yes, sir.
Because if you look at a place like Canada or the UK and Europe, there's many places that incarcerate at a lower per capita rate than what we're doing, even in Massachusetts. So we can still do better, and I'm hopeful that the centers can be a part of that. But for a lot of people, they don't necessarily, it's not a court order that needs to get them into the center. Maybe it's just they're working with their probation officer, and before it comes to the time where the probation officer says, hey, you've missed a lot of appointments, etc., whatever, we need to try to move forward with your case. Maybe that person can say, hey, I just need some help. I need help getting a job. I need help figuring out how to organize my life. And in that circumstance, your probation officer can make a referral to the center for what we're calling the Gantz Services Program. And that's in memory of the late Chief Justice Ralph Gantz, who passed away several years ago, and who the legislature kind of invested resources in our centers around his memory. Because I think as the Chief Justice of the Supreme Judicial Court, the leader of our courts in Massachusetts, he was very much a person that believed in many times he talked about healing the world and what the system can do to bring healing as opposed to just punishment and sanctions. So I think I'm proud to carry that tradition and try to imbue what we're doing with some of those values. So again, some people come because the court orders them to come, or because the parole board orders them to come. Others can come through the Gantz Services Program because the probation officer referred them. A parole officer can refer them. And if you're not on probation at all, or you're not on parole at all, and you're just recently returned from a period of incarceration, you can just come in off the street, come right in the door, and we have reentry services coordinators at each of our locations that can meet with you and say, hey, what is it that we can do to help you get on the right track? So there are various doors that you can go through. If nothing else, you can reach out through the website, and we can get you information about how to get into the center if that's something that you want to do.
Absolutely. And we're going to share another link in a minute. And then, not to put you on the spot, but I kind of thought about this question in real time as you're talking about sort of the voluntary service. It reminds me of my days when I was with, we used to call it's DCF now, but when I was doing it, was called DSS, which I'm sure here and there you may have had, some intersection with.
Right.
I know some people are kind of like, I'm walking into probation for voluntary services. But what if you're a parent that the child may have got out of DYS? They're not really, in services. There's no court order. I presume you're around back in the day when we had chins and things like that. Can a parent of a 17, 18-year-old that may not have an order that's on the fence, can they reach out?
Yeah. So what I would say is our programs are designed for adults.
Okay.
So I would be careful. Like,
okay,
if someone's in need of, we can provide a redirection. Like I'll never hang up the call and say you made the wrong call and hang up the phone. Right. We'll try to help people get to the right services, but our programs specifically are designed for adults.
Okay.
And I think especially what we know now, I mean, I would be reluctant to say that a person that's 17, 18, really, that's probably not the right place for them to get the services.
Okay.
But absolutely, if somebody needs support, I don't want to say, reach out, call us. We'll try to figure out how we can do a better job directing you to the right place.
Vin, just based on what you just said about you're never going to take a call and say, hey, you reached the wrong place, and not redirect them. Again, it just shows the persona and the philosophy of that office. And so there is another resource that we want to share. I just want to remind folks that in the comments right now for the community justice support centers that Vin referred to, you can go to the website. It's hyperlinked right in the comments right there. So you can get the resources right now and the information. Vin, we're going to take a quick 30-second break and come back and chat with you about the other resource and the other link that we want to share with the folks, and get ready to you can keep. We were intentional about today. And there's something, National Night Out is tomorrow, and you guys are going to be out. So if folks see you today or they want resources, they may be able to come up and meet you or your team. And so we're going to take the quick break and come back and talk about other resources and all that you guys are doing out in the community for National Night Out. And as I'm on the road trying to manage this on the laptop is interesting, but we're going to take a quick break, folks, and we'll be right back with you.
For the innovators, the dreamers, the risk takers, independent workers who keep our neighborhoods thriving, Connector Care from the Massachusetts Health Connector has plans for every lifestyle and budget.
Having access to affordable healthcare is for everyone in our community.
Connector Care plans help more people save on healthcare that covers all their needs. Find out if you qualify for Connector Care. Visit mahealthconnector.org or call 1-877-MA-ENROLL.
This is Fuel. This is Growth. And this is our Earthshot, a reboot of belief in our ability to live sustainably, a renewable source of the one resource we can't live without: hope.
Hey, folks, if you're just tuning in, and I'll be honest, I'm in the private chat with Vin telling him, brother, you are really killing this out here today, because for me, it is important for folks to understand that when there are systems and structures that have not always been friendly to those that have been incarcerated, life situations, circumstances. We know a large portion are Black and brown folks, and especially Black and brown men. To just be able to correspond with you today, and I'll be honest, I text Coria and told her, I was like, oh my God. And so we shared some resources on the first end. We're going to go back now and make sure that you are aware of another resource in addition to the centers. There's another one here, and Vin, forgive me, because again, I'm doing this not with the full setup, but all right, copy. Tell us about the reentry mentorship program as well.
Yeah, so actually all of this is available through the centers, so it's not necessarily an alternative to the centers or something different.
Okay, it's a part of it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, as I stated earlier in the call or in the meeting or in the show, I'm sorry, um, the centers have been around since about 1996 or so, and the centers really evolved around an idea that we should be doing treatment interventions and providing additional supports as part of the supervision that we're doing.
Yep.
I think, as I said, I think we're doing much better today with that than we ever have in the past, and the data that we have shows that. But in addition to that, and again, as a tribute to the late Chief Justice Ralph Gantz, the legislature has invested some resources with us to provide reentry programming for people. And so at all of the 18 locations across the state, we now have reentry services coordinators. The reentry service coordinator is someone that potentially is someone with lived experience, not at all of the places, but at some of the places,
Yep.
that can essentially be kind of like a caseworker or a mentor to somebody that is returning to the community after a period of incarceration and can help that person navigate various different systems in order to get them, a state ID, employment, housing, etc. We also have another position that we've invested in as part of this reentry services program that's called the public benefits coordinator. And that person, as we went to the break, you had an ad where you were talking about how important healthcare and health insurance is.
Sir.
So timely, because our public benefits coordinators are there. They are certified application counselors under the Affordable Care Act, and they can help a person who no longer has health insurance get on Mass Health. They can help a person who maybe is food insecure get SNAP benefits. They're dialed right into the system, so they can be a caseworker, community caseworker on that regard. If people are struggling with any other kinds of benefits, Social Security, SSDI, etc., these people are there to work with you to try to help you, figure that out. There's also transitional housing resources that are available through the probation department. So my colleague, Deputy Commissioner Coelho, runs a whole array of housing resources through Community Resources for Justice, which include the Brook House and McGrath House in Boston.
Yep.
And so for people that are in a transition and need emergency housing, like that's something that we can help them with. And then
if I could interject there,
sure.
Vin, that's especially for men. And another caveat, and I don't know if you've seen this, is there's a lot of brothers that have now become single fathers. And that's one area just in general, not those just on probation, but traditionally men, the system tends to have more services for women and children when it comes to men and homelessness and housing or being without housing. And so I just wanted to interject that there because and often as Chief Eiffel referred, if you don't have an address and you don't have a place to lay your head, it's kind of hard maybe to remember you have an appointment. You're just trying to find something that night. So I just wanted to interject because
I appreciate that.
Yeah, that you guys are doing that. Absolutely.
Yeah. And so another one of the housing opportunities that's available is there is a contract with the Mass Alliance of Sober Houses. So there is some resources there for people that want to do that. So to be clear, this housing resource is designed to be transitional housing. Yes. So it's not an indefinite period of time. And some of the housing that's available here comes with some, resources around trying to help people engage with employment and other things like that. So it's not for everybody, but it is a resource that's available that people can access by getting in touch with our reentry services coordinator, and they can put them in the right place to do that. And again, that reentry services coordinator is also available to help a person get in line with whatever other resources are available. The city of Boston has great resources available through their Office of Returning Citizens. Sheriff's departments across the state are also engaging in some of this work as well. And so to the extent that we can put you in contact with those resources and help case manage that for you, that's something that we want to do. And that's a one point I just wanted to make on this. I know that today in our state, reentry is a priority across the government. And the work that we're doing sometimes is complementary to whatever other organizations are available in the state, and especially in Boston. The city's Office of Returning Citizens does a phenomenal job working with people. And so if you're working with them, that's phenomenal. I hope that that's helping you. But if there's something that we can do to provide a supplement to that or complement to that, then we want to be able to help people with that as well. So I just wanted to share that point.
Vin, dude, it again, it's important that the philosophy that we got to meet the Chief Justice that oversees this, and her name is escaping me, but she came and was a part.
Chief Justice Grieger, yeah.
Yes. Having the philosophy that I sense from her, Chief Eiffel, you know, sometimes, as you said, the system hasn't always been, and there are people that have been part of the system, and the transition of the philosophy may be interesting. And to know that this philosophy is trickling down, and as well, maybe meeting in the middle with folks that are actually doing the service. I think just what you discussed and how you displayed your commitment, you know, in this space, I think is important for people to know that one or two bad experiences of how you got into the system, and maybe you dealt with somebody that moves out of the old system, don't mess yourself up and get in risk of being revoked by not taking advantage of all of these services that are available. And so I hope folks that are watching today that may have a niece, a nephew, a spouse, a cousin, a friend, a neighbor that may have discussed with them challenges with probation or being a part of the legal the criminal legal system, that these services are available. And I just have to remind folks that right now, like, you can leave this episode, you can click and leave. We'll fuss about that later. But no, the resources are important. You can click these links. They are hyperlinked in real time right now to go find out how to take advantage of these services. One question from an audience member, Vin, if you don't mind, and then I'll let you go. Sure. I got to go check out. Pastor Marion is asking, and I don't know if you're familiar, but are your programs similar to the programs VP Harris set up in California, some of the reentry or probation?
Yeah, there are various different non-for-profits and community-based grassroots organizations that have done phenomenal. And I think California is one of the places that is a model for many places in the country. Yeah. I can't remember the exact name of, there's a program in California that it's just, I can't remember the name of it, but it incorporates like industry. And so in other words, you're training people. And what I think of locally is the work that places like UTEC and ROCA are doing. I don't know.
Yeah, very familiar. Yep.
Again, these are other grassroots phenomenal organizations that are committed to seeing people succeed. And UTEC especially does a phenomenal job around training people in industry, trying to help them understand, you know, how they can get on a career path. And a lot of what they do is consistent with what we're doing, except they're doing it in a grassroots way that is kind of incorporating a lot of passive kind of lessons for people. Whereas when we bring somebody into a classroom space where we use cognitive behavioral interventions, it's literally very active. It's like, we want you to think about your thoughts, feelings, and actions, and let's talk through a plan of how you can understand your thoughts better. You know, have that impact your feelings in a positive way, so that you don't take actions that end up
getting you
causing you to stay in harming people and your family and friends. You know, you mentioned something a minute ago, and I know you have to go. I don't want to
go ahead.
A late checkout or anything, but I think at the end of the day, there's a couple things that motivate me and motivate our office. And one is, we want to be effective. We want to, you know, theoretically, I want to put myself out of business, right? I want to do so well that we don't need to have these programs anymore. I think that that's probably, you know, an overstatement, but what we know is that the science says that we are more effective when we actually engage with people. We use the science that we have to figure out what their needs are, and we do it that way and get them in all these kinds of programs, rather than kind of say, you have to do this or you have to do that, right? And so that speaks to our values around making sure that we are trying to promote safer and stronger communities. Communities are stronger when they're safer. We've done a lot of great work here in Massachusetts, and there's a lot of great leadership in our state that we're very thankful for. You know, on the policy front, you know, a lot of people that have worked really hard. Chief Justice Gantz in the past, our Governor Healy and others, Senator Brownsberger in the Senate, and a lot of people. But what we need to do is continue to move forward in this, and continue to keep it and help it to become entrenched, so that it becomes part of the mainstream of what we do, and it's not just seen as like a boutique thing, you know, in a special circumstance. And so, again, I'm just, I'm committed to trying to, like, I didn't say, you talked about the why at the very beginning, and I didn't say this early on. I do want to share this about people meet me and they know that I'm passionate about what I do. I hope that's come across today.
Oh
Part of
God.
that because of my own life growing up. I lost my mom when I was a kid. My dad didn't really have a lot of education in his life. He grew up in projects in Bridgeport, Connecticut, and so he had a tough upbringing. I've been very blessed and fortunate in my life. And I know that other people that have the same circumstances don't get those benefits, right? And so this is part of like something inside me that motivates me to continue to push and try to say, here's where God put me. So what can I do to make a difference? And so I'm really thankful to you and your viewers for the platform today. I'm really hopeful that maybe at some point in the future, you can come on the road and actually meet with our team at the center, take a tour. Maybe we could do a little video so we can show your viewers what it really is like. We can demystify it completely, but
then get one. You're going to take me another place and it won't be your fault. We'll be on here another 10 minutes. But two, I just thank you for circling back to the exact why. No doubt anybody that watched today or watches the after watch is going to see that you are definitely committed to this. It's not just a job, and it's not typical of what some people may have experienced within the system. And so thank you. And you got my mother started. Now she said God's plan. And Anissa, she heard about us figuring out some time maybe to come out to a center and figure that out.
Yeah, that'll be phenomenal. I'd love to show people what it really is in person.
Okay. Then thank you. Before you go, I do want to make sure that folks again know that right there in the comments, the re-entry mentorship program, which is a part of the overall programming for the community support centers, you want to go directly to the mentorship, you can go there. But for all the other comprehensive information that Vin and his department has to offer, you can click that link right there. And at some point, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I can share the phone number to the site in Boston.
Do that. Yeah. Go ahead.
We'll put it right here in the chat, or if you want.
Okay. No, you can say, listen, we'll do it.
Let me just share it to you over, because I'm old and I'm not good at. Yeah, the phone number for the Boston Center is 617-858-5938. And Kim Albin is our program manager there.
ABLIN?
Yep. And she works for the Office of Community Corrections.
Okay.
We also have Goldie Amy. She also works for our office. Her last name is AIME. But she's working on a special program to get people into Franklin Cummings Tech for career training.
Okay.
So if that's something people are interested
in. I've heard about that. Yep.
You can help people do that. And then there's also Brittany Doherty and Christina Diaz, who are members of the staff from Bay State Community Services, that are people that are working there every day to try to help people get on the right track. So I did want to make sure that and the center is located at 78 Amory Street. It's in what people call the White Rock Soda building with that big sign on the top.
Yeah.
So our entrance is on Amory Street, and everybody always tells me I'm in Jamaica Plain, but I swear to God that's Roxbury. I'm telling you that.
Vin, see, you're going to get me started, because I grew up and that was Roxbury. That part was Roxbury, but now it's JP and get off my screen.
Everybody tells me it's Jamaica Plain, but when I go to the old maps, I swear it's the line is like further down Amory Street. But in any event,
look.
So we're also near Fenway Health, Dimmock. So there's a lot of resources there that we can help people get in touch with as well.
So for some immediate, and I wasn't able to capture everything that Vin said today, but if you get to Kim Albin or Goldie Amy, you can check in with them about the programming. And as Vin said, they may not cover everything, but they're going to redirect you and make sure you get the services. And so, Vin, I appreciate you spending time with us on this Monday afternoon during lunch. Thank you. And thank you for all that you do for community. And I agree with you that there is progress and there is improvement, and there's improvement for more. And so we're glad that folks like you, Coria, also the commissioner, the associate and assistant commissioner as well, that was with us. And if you could say her name as well, because she really took the time to explain to Swaggy T what he signed into basically legislation.
I think so. I know. Yeah. So Diane Fasano is the first assistant deputy commissioner. Yep. She was
Yep.
there as
So
well. That was a
tell her-
tremendous experience. I
Yep,
love being
tell
in
her
the
I
room with
said
him.
hi.
He's
Please
awesome.
tell
Yeah.
her I said hi, and thank
I
you
will.
for everything. And then I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to have to send the Department of Probation an invoice for my
Oh,
late check.
no.
No, I'm messing. Vin. But no, Vin, thank you. And
Thank
folks,
you.
don't forget, if you want to meet Vin or any of his staff for National Night Out across the city of Boston, I'm sure other cities and municipalities are doing it as well. Go up to the table where you see his department and let them know that you saw him and the services they offer on Java with Jimmy today, and let them know that you appreciate it. And Vin, thank you. I'm going to go pay a couple of bills, and we'll talk soon.
Take care. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you, brother.
I appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Folks, I got to get ready to wrap up and get out of here. Don't forget, today is National 8/5/23 Day. Shout out to Miss Teresa for making sure I have my shirt. And we'll see you guys tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. Have a great day, everybody, and we shall talk to you soon.